for our episode 3, season 6. Clear missing another member of our cast. Again, with us today, Sam. He's missing um, today. He couldn't be here. But guys, after this international break.
I feel a little sad by the situation of El Salvador. So it's that's the way I feel. Yeah. And I'm also kind of tired. How are you? How are
Tired of
you
El
all?
Salvador or
I'm just tired, like from work, and I just came from playing soccer también. So I'm like, yeah, man, and like my ankle is hurting, dude. I got some new Yeezys, and like they're messing up my ankles. Like my fat foot just like can't handle being in there.
Which ones
So
did you get?
I got some 350s.
700.
I got some 350s. I've been wanting to try those, and so I tried it, and yeah, I mean
Wasn't it?
they're cool, but I feel like it's like fucking has my ankle in a chokehold. I don't know if that feeling is gonna go away, but I hope so because I just bought them. So, but yeah, it the jury's still out. How are you all?
No, we're doing pretty good. I feel like I had to say I'll probably be sad a bit just watching Mexico play.
Mm.
You only get so many opportunities to get to see an international duty with like quote unquote the best players. But I know we'll get to it. But yeah, man, that's a little bit of a letdown the weekend. If you're asking me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How about you, Irving? How are you?
I'm doing all right. I actually, well, yeah, it is like a little bad how I guess go played, but actually, we'll get into it. But actually, don't too
I'm doing
bad.
all right.
Too bad about it. Overall, in general, I'm doing pretty good. I just got my
Okay.
punishment done too for us. So.
Yeah, we'll get into that, man. We'll get into the update about how that went. Um, it's important. It's an important update. Um, okay, let's start off with our tarjeta roja of the week. Well, actually, last week we started and kind of gave you an overview. So we're gonna do the tarjeta roja of the week, our update on our quinela punishment. We're gonna talk a little bit about the winners and losers of this international window. We're gonna be specific to CONCACAF, and then we'll jump to Europe for one team specifically, I guess. And then we're gonna go over Germany and like what's happening in Germany. Um, Jose will lead us into the segment called the butterfly effect. So I'm excited about that. So stay tuned for that because it's a new segment. And I always appreciate the way this fool kind of brings us this random ass shit that he thinks of, or I don't know what your sources are, but I'm excited that you're bringing it to the podcast. And then if we get to it, we'll talk about Paul Pogba, and then we're gonna end off with our quinela. So first segment today is the tarjeta roja of the week. And y'all got anything? I got one, but
Yeah, I
I'll
got
let
one
y'all.
too.
Okay, go ahead. Start us off.
So mine. Oh, my bad. Mine is gonna go El Tiva Sepulveda, the center back from Mexico that played against Uzbekistan. I mean, I understand Jimmy Lozano trying to try out different pairings in the defense with Mexico and trying to see what works, what doesn't. But yesterday was just a clear picture that center back and that center back pairing be paired ever again, like ever again. I don't know specifically. I don't know if you guys saw the play where El Tiva Sepulveda loses the ball like down the sideline, like trying to tackle. He's trying to tackle the Uzbekistan players, the player, and he literally throws his whole body at his feet to like tackle him. Crazy, and I'd say he was at least at fault for 2 goals. Ochoa's fault, but about that. We'll get into it later, but yeah, just El Tiva Sepulveda. Never want to see him get called up again.
Okay. Well, he was a new
Sheesh.
player, right? Like he hadn't been
Yeah,
called up before, or had he?
He had been called up.
I
He
think
just didn't get a playing time.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
Thanks, man. You got one, Jose?
yeah, I guess in sticking with defenders, I would probably give him that Tarjeta Roja to Maguire. I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
got to see that that auto goal that he made once in second half, and it's like I feel like it made me thinking. I mean, just an open thought, like us or that when we played soccer, when you hit a bad batch as a soccer player, like how do you come out of that slump? Because if you're, I don't think Harry Maguire has come a slump that he's been in over a year, and it's like before Gate was questioned why they still brought him up or why he called, and he said something about like him being a leader, kind of like backing him up. And then you go in, man comes in as a sub, man, auto goal. So yeah,
He
I'll give it
loves
to Harry
himself.
Maguire.
He loves himself some Harry Maguire, dog. He's like, that's my dog, man. That's my
And
gallo right there.
And it's like, I mean, you know that coach. I wish we had our coach in this podcast right now, man. To give us like how that approach to like fruition. Wow, man, like man's gotten way too many chances, and I feel like every time Harry Maguire is trending on Twitter or Instagram or whatever, chances are he's like he made a mistake and he's a meme. Give a week.
Do you just to kind of add to this though, like maybe to problematize it a little bit? Do you think that we're a little overly harsh on Harry Maguire, or do you think it's like well deserved like criticisms? Because I feel like Southgate said that he's one of the most like. I mean, he didn't say bullied, but pretty much, right? Like players
Yeah.
like online. He didn't say
Mhm.
bully. He just said like, he gets a lot of like negative
Like
criticism.
targeted. He's like targeted.
Yeah, he gets targeted. He's like, I've never seen this before. Like, so do you think like it's just like too much like on him? Like, at what point do we also take a responsibility and like, okay, dude, let's take it easy on him.
For a player, in this just world of football, for a player to be put in that position, you have to like constantly be making mistakes. Like you have yourself in that position. Like the fans will put you there, but it's probably because you're making. So I don't think he's over bullied. I just think that he just hasn't had to make you think different at this point.
Yeah, man. I feel for him, man. I feel like I've been I feel for him, man. I can't imagine just having like another thing I just saw too about him was like, did you see the African Congress? Like an African Congress started talking about Harry Maguire. So like, long story short here, one of the congressmen is talking about the budget, and he's like, look, if we want to fix this budget, I want to use an example that we all can relate to. And then he started bringing up Harry Maguire, and he's like, "Look, the man comes in and he scores goals against his own team. He starts bringing players down from his own team. We don't want to do that to our budget." so he's just become like a meme, which is cool and not cool, I think, at the same time. Anyways, for my tarjeta roja of the week, I gotta give it to El Salvador's fast food, and I want to give it also to like the fans. I think the way that Hugo Perez, and I'm not being an apologist here for Hugo Perez because I think he's made some mistakes, but I think the way he's going out is one of the most unfortunate ways and one of the ugliest things about the CONCACAF, which I don't think that really gets highlighted. Because I know that like in Mexico, you guys get the criticism, right? And it's like, oh, Jose Perbueda, blah, 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 right? He makes a mistake. But in El Salvador, like there is just this like this heavy criticism like on the coach, and a lot of it doesn't, there's like very little self-reflection about what is actually happening like in the team. So So I give it to the fast food. They released a statement saying that they're gonna terminate, or they're looking for alternatives of a coach, and they're gonna move on from Hugo Perez's project. So yeah, I think he should still keep. I think he should have kept going into the World Cup. Me personally, but yeah. Next is the Quinela punishment. So if you didn't follow our social media, please go to our social media. Edwin has uploaded his punishment from last week.
Mm-hmm.
How did that feel?
Cold.
Cold.
Nice. Nice.
I mean,
looked
it
cold.
was. Yeah, it was definitely like I've never done like an ice bath or like nothing like that. So, like once it like hit, like how do I say, like my head like was kind of aching for a little bit because it was so cold for a little bit though. But
The
yeah,
things we do for the
it was
pod.
good. Yeah, but it was. I don't think it was the worst punishment. Thankfully, but it's
Yeah,
still pretty bad.
it seems like it. Maybe we got to up the ante. Maybe it's like getting into a tub of ice for like 5 minutes. You probably like get hyperthermia or something. That'd be crazy. I don't even know where we get that, but probably get a big hielera and call it a day.
Ruthless right now.
Yeah. So, anyways, Jose, can you give us an update about how this week's Quinela went?
In another week of We Don't Know Ball.
Hey, one of us does. One of us keeps coming up on top.
Okay. I feel like I want to know if there'll ever be where you're not last place.
Come on, man. Listen to me, y'all. Listen to me.
For real. Like I think if there's money line for us, or if anybody's gonna listen to it yet.
I got my strategy, dude, and I won't share it until the end of the season.
Anyways, so last week we had a total of 7 games, but a mistake. One of them was already as we had the podcast, went down to 6. Total tally. So we're not giving that from Trinidad. I didn't see that. So we'll stay at 2. Ariel, you scored 3. And myself, I scored 1 out of 6.
Man,
So
dude, you don't know anything.
I'm in this wheel. Like we've done it for 4 weeks. I've been in this wheel. And I came up with the idea.
Hella confident too. Like, hey boys, let's start betting on these things. There's no way I'm gonna lose.
So I'll gracefully take my loss here, and whatever punishment comes next. Let's get it, man.
All right, let's do it. So this upcoming week, your punishment will be. Let's see. Let's get to the wheel, our handy wheel, and it is spinning. A lot of good ones. Got a mystery food, an open mic. This is kind of one of the ones that. Okay, well, so
it's a softie.
It's a softie. But it's gonna be interesting because we were just talking about your background and your light and your camera. So it's gonna be up to us for folks that are listening to us. The punishment will be have a background switcheroo. The loser must use a hilarious, embarrassing virtual background. So we get to choose that for you for the rest of the call. So
wait,
that should be.
Can you like? Can we like do it for like next week where I'll actually have a better lighting and you guys can actually think?
Yeah, we're not going to do it right now. Next week.
Just making sure, because I'll have better lighting next week.
Yeah. So next week you'll have a different background. You won't have the Bernabeu. You may have something else. So it's a softie. Had to throw one in like that.
I'll take it.
What you should do? Take a screenshot of the TikTok you didn't want to post and put that as his background.
There we go. I like it. Now we're thinking. That's
an idea.
I knew I should see when I sent out that TikTok. I was like, I have a feeling this was not going to want to post this, but still throw it out there. We'll see. We'll see if he does it. Okay, so background switcheroo. For our first headline this week, wrapping up international window. We saw teams play twice in many occasions. But we're gonna be focusing mostly on the Concacaf for this part of the show. The question is the Concacaf winners and losers from the international window. Mexico tied both games, right? Yeah, El Salvador lost both games. I'm gonna throw El Salvador in here because that's what I want to talk about. So I know y'all probably didn't see the game, but I'll fill you in. The U.S. won both games. Am I correct on that?
Hmm. Yeah.
Anybody else stood out to you in the Concacaf? Maybe Guatemala, Panama.
I mean, I think the one thing that stood out to me, maybe I might be wrong, like because that whole like Canada Federation thing, like I don't think they played. They're probably the only team in CONCACAF that didn't play this week or that
Mhm.
international duty. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that affects them going forward.
Yeah.
What about Guatemala? Any thoughts on that, or any thoughts on Panama? Did y'all
I mean,
ever?
I think
Well,
just like Amadou, if you guys catch on to it.
I'd say Guatemala and Panama right now are pretty even because Guatemala beat El Salvador, and I'm sure Ariel will get into that. And um, Guatemala tied against Panama beat Martinique 4-0, pretty sure. Panama and Guatemala tied, and they're playing Nations League to qualify to that Nations League like second round or whatever the doing right now.
Whatever the fuck's
Um,
happening, dude.
yeah, the fourth Nations League is really weird. Like I can't even understand. But
Yeah.
they're neck and neck, but you know they're both still I'd say the stronger Central American teams. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, no, dude. Well, obviously we don't know anything about tier lists because I remember putting El Salvador above every one of these and just it being incorrect. Obviously, I'm letting my fandom fucking take over. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Nations League. If you don't know how it kind of works, it's division. It's broken up into divisions. So it's like League C, which is like the Cayman Islands, San
Hmm.
Martin, Aruba, kind of like islands that you kind of don't really, you don't really see them that often. And then it's League B, which is like Nicaragua, Dominican Republic. And then you got League A, which is like Guatemala, Panama, El Salvador was in League A, but because they've lost, they're going to go down to League B. Um,
Hmm.
Sheesh.
and I'm not totally sure as to who qualifies to the Copa America. Are y'all aware of who qualifies for the Copa America?
Um,
I just know
I think they're gonna
Mexico,
have
Canada,
like
and the U.S. are gonna be there.
no, because they have to qualify. 'Cause they said that
So
the next game.
it's like
No,
different for them because it's something different. So like Mexico, they play like games and like they don't play. They have to wait until those people from the groups like play and come out of that,
yeah, but
and then
Mexico
that's how the
still
knockout
has to.
stage I did. No, they're qualified already.
Yeah, Mexico is, I
Like
think, already in there, dude.
they're in the knockout stages already.
Yeah, they're in there
That's
Like
already.
that. Yeah.
Look, dude, but this derives for folks that don't know why the CONCACAF is such like a mess. It's because there's so many teams in the CONCACAF. You know what I'm saying? Like it's much bigger than just, you know, the USA and Mexico and Canada. Like there's all these little islands that also have a vote and have a say, and they have to play these games. So they have to break it up into this weird ass way. Um,
Yeah.
but so you saw the Mexico game, and we were talking a little bit about it earlier. Let's jump into that. What are some takeaways from the Mexico team's performance, and what did you see? What did you not? What did you like? What did you not like? I saw the first game.
um. I will say, you know, and I guess it goes without saying, but Mexico still has a lot of work to do. You know, Jimmy Lozano has some different type of ways to attack and play in his play styles, and I mean, obviously with he's calling up new players, but there's still a lot of work to do for Mexico. I don't want to discredit Uzbekistan, but there's no reason why Mexico should be tying to Uzbekistan. and there's no reason why I think Mexico should be tying Australia. Although Australia, they have players in Europe, I still think that Mexico should at least be winning. Not like beating them and beating them like, but at least winning against these teams. So still played a really good game. So did Australia, but a lot of the goals that came from both games, they came from errors in the defense or errors with the goalie, and that's something that I think something that Mexico has had a problem with since the Gold Cup, even before the Gold Cup. We've said time and that the defense is like kind of shaky. I think their solid defenders are like Johan Vasquez, Cesar Montes, even, but like against Uzbekistan, they had Kevin Alvarez playing, and I he played. Um, he went too forward and then got lost when tracking back. That's how I think it came about. And so, yeah, there's a lot of things that Mexico still have to work on. I'm not gonna say completely like, oh, it's over. They suck or Jimmy answer, because it's only been 2 games and they still have a lot of games. Not a lot of games, but they still have time to develop and there. Some of the things I liked was Huerta. Uh, no bias. He's really good. He wasn't the greatest against Uzbekistan, but against Australia, I mean, he came in and tied the game for Mexico. He was the difference maker in that game, alongside with Jordi Cortizo, the guy from Monterrey, if I'm not mistaken. That guy is good. He when he came in as a sub against us, changing the game, making plays. He has like like he likes to encarar al jugador. He likes to kind of like move the ball, find the pass kind of type. I really liked how he played. Same thing against Uzbekistan. He played really well. Came in as a sub. And Jimenez also in and actually scored I think all the goals. It looks like he's getting his confidence back, and I just wish we saw Santi Jimenez. I think we didn't see enough of that. Jimmy Lozano was too late on his changes against Uzbekistan. But that's just a guess. But there's still a lot of work to do for Mexico, especially with like the nations. The Nations League is going to come up in the winter, and then they have to play these October friendlies. I think they play like their toughest opponents. So they play like Germany. What's the African team they're playing? I don't remember. And yeah,
Oh,
I
that's a
know
good question.
I know the
I think
this
it
upcoming
might be Hammer.
I know these upcoming games like in October are their toughest, and then they have to qualify for like Copa America and like next early January or something, or early. So there's still a lot of games to play. But yeah, Mexico still has a lot of work to do, but some positives out of it.
Okay.
Wrote a book.
It's a lot to say, man. It's a lot to say about this
They-
team, man.
they-
I think
they play-
this is they're a controversial team to me. Go ahead.
And-
Go ahead,
and I
Jose.
feel like
what you take out of it?
to that controversial, and I feel like I've always had this approach with the Mexican national team, where it's like every game that they, whether it's in duty or just like regular amistoso, we always want to see their play. It doesn't matter who they're playing, if they do bad or if they're not up to par. Like we always like once the game is over, like even if they tied, like we always just want to like right now you're bringing up Kevin Alvarez. Like, dude, that Kevin Alvarez was a guy that we wanted to see play since like forever, because it's like that's he's competing at that right back position with like Araujo, Jorge Sanchez. So it's like now that you get to see him play, it's okay. Well, he didn't do good. So it's like now we're like marginalizing a player that he's not good to fit. He's not selection material. Chino Huerta, he did pretty good. He did was a highlight, but just like that, the goals that they scored on Mexico are because of defense errors. The goal that Mexico scored too were errors on the other side too that were just like very silly. Like the goal Chino Huerta scored, like the defender literally just down. Like, I see you run, shoot. I'm just gonna put my head down so you can tie the game. Like that's a silly mistake.
Wouldn't say that.
That's pretty silly mistake, dude. That because of
It's a
that
silly mistake,
because
but I think what that's doing is letting the ball get to the goalie, and Chino Huerta got in there. You still got talent to hit the ball, like just saying.
yes, right. But now you're turning to a specific moment that the whole team did, or like that was good. Like it's like no, they tied the game,
That
and
was a
if this guy
highlight.
doesn't mess up, if this guy actually knows how to communicate with the goal doesn't come, Mexico lose. So like it's and it's like I guess like my other like the player like Jordi Cortizo, who we're just getting to know who this guy is. Like this is the first like he had he used to play, then he went to Puebla. Like nobody follows those teams with all due respect. And then he went to more. So it's like we're just kind of now the team, and he's a really good player. We just is at the national level, and the guy's about to be 28.
He
While we
looks like
have
he's
yeah,
he looks like that.
it's like how is that like in Selección Mexicana we start developing players and we're only giving them a chance like after they turn 24, 25. Where like just right across the way, team, it's like the age average is like less than 28. So it's like I don't know, like, and this is the mentality Mexico has always had with its players, like with the selecciones, where like if you're under 23, you're only playing with the sub 23. Like you can't come and play with the big dogs because you're not at the age. So it's like I feel like that's like you kind of see it like as you're watching like USA play. USA scored three on Uzbekistan, but they scored three on them too. So it's just like I don't know, like the that comes that from the coaches of like we're not gonna let the young ones play. Just kind of like I think is what's caused like mess up where like this team's not just they're not playing like the connection, and it's like they no tienen llegada like in general. So it's like I think right now I've said it's like Mexico's just lucky that they're qualified for the world qualified for Copa America. Like and if they don't do good in either one, like it's a surprise. But
Yeah,
Qualified to Copa.
they'll find get them in. I think
they'll find a way to get him in, dude. That is the truth about
They
Mexico.
gotta play games to qualify.
I wouldn't be surprised if they like play against like Martinique or some shit like that. Like,
and the score is still one.
Yeah, PK. So some of the takeaways I got from at least from the first game that I saw, which I think was probably, and actually I don't know if it's the second game seemed to me like that was the second string players from that he brought. I think a winner, somebody that I think his stock went up because of these games is Chino Huerta, as we said. I think he did well when he came in. I think the fans have really it seems like the fans have really taken to him, which I think is cool. I was telling Irving like this he's probably gonna make a move somewhere. I hope he doesn't stay in Mexico. I hope he goes somewhere else. So I think his stock went up. Another person that I think stock went up was Raul Jimenez. I think cementing his place of like, you're not gonna get rid of me that easy. Like he's been playing good for Fulham. He hasn't scored goals for Fulham, but he's been getting into positions and he's been getting dangerous. So I think that move to Fulham has really like kind of reignited something. I think Julian Araujo stock went up as well. I think the team looked better when he was at the right back position. So I think his stock went up. I think Edson Alvarez had a better showing this time. So there are some individual players that I think did well. I think whose stock went down to me, or like who lost in this window, I think was Santi Jimenez. He didn't take the opportunity that he had, missed two penalties or missed a penalty, which I think is like, okay, dude, you're no longer taking the penalty here. Like, that's it. So his confidence, I think, could take a big hit. He seems like a confidence dude, and he just doesn't have it with Mexico. I don't know if the jersey's too much or I don't know, but he seems nervous, in front of the Mexico jersey. So, yeah, I think his stock went down. And I gotta say, I think Jimmy Lozano's stock went down too. I think he played it too safe with these selections. I think, like I told y'all when the rosters came out, I think it would have benefited just to see a whole new batch of players. We've already seen a lot of these players, and I know that the argument was, well, they're not going to have that many, but I think you come out on this end feeling like the criticisms are even harsher because this is your A team. You know what I'm saying? Like this is like your top team. But if you bring in a new batch of players and like a whole new batch of players, you get a little bit more excitement, I think. So I think there was a missed opportunity there. And this Mexico team just they don't like, you know, I guess another person that I think maybe, I don't know, I don't really know how to rate Antuna's stock because his goal was BS, but he's the best thing that y'all got on the right side. Because Piojo Alvarado, bless his soul, but he was not doing
Buns.
it. He was buns. And Antuna at least like gets there, but his crossing is just so bad. It's horrendous. And that's one of my knocks on Chino Huerta. I think his crossing was pretty bad from what I saw. But so yeah, this is some of the takeaways for me. I think Mexico as a whole, I think this was a big L. I think they took a loss because they should have. He could have played different players, and this criticism would have just not been as harsh. But now everybody's on him again. All the eyes are on Mexico, and the media are looking at him like this is not a good window. So
Yeah. I think to kind of wrap it up, I think one, hey, you have to be a great player to be in the position that Antuna was in to score that thing. Like the IQ of Antuna, everybody else to put his foot in front of that and score the thing. Right?
yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, I think Antuna,
and
he's again best y'all got.
yeah, we make a lot of we make a lot of jokes and stuff. Or like we like to joke around with Antuna, and so does Twitter. He's not bad. I don't think he's not bad. Antuna's not bad. He's still. If you it's a video circulating about the cross that the passing that is talking about, and before the cross, he's defenders left and right. It may be the same cutback off defenders. He's going at the box, is what I'm trying to say. He's not playing midfielders. Oh, el otro lado. He's trying to get in there and do his thing. So that's the thing I like about Antuna. Yes, his crossing is bad, and a lot of decision making is bad, but it's not bad like Piojo Alvarado bad.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna leave you with this quote from one of your favorite announcers, which is, what is his name? Martinelli. What is his name? The Martinoli.
Martinoli.
Yeah.
Martinoli. What he said about Chino Huerta, which I think applies to Antuna the way you're describing him, and he's like, we have to get past in Mexico that just because the player does a túnel or shakes him off,
Thank you.
that we should applaud that.
Thank you.
We should stop applauding that because the end product is not there. It didn't end in a goal. Anybody can do a túnel in the middle of the field. Anybody can shake somebody off, but does it lead us to a chance? Does it get us there? So he's like, it's different if it was like Cuauhtémoc Blanco that would shake off and would score a goal or make a pass to a goal. So I'm gonna leave it with that, and I'm gonna push Mexico fans to think further than just thinking that just shaking somebody off like that we should be applauding that. But again, he is the best that y'all got, and so there's that on that right side. In the U.S., how did y'all feel the U.S. did? I think they did great. I think they're winners out of this window for me.
Yeah.
Nah, they're rolling, dude. Like I feel like, I think at least on my end, like there isn't too much to talk about them because they're actually just doing, like, they're getting the job done. Like the players,
They're doing what needs to be
they're
done.
doing what needs to be done on friendlies where like Greg Berhalter gets to see the best players he has.
Yeah,
and
I think
he's
Pepe
taking
going up también.
like Pepe, and it's just like they look good. I kind of already want to fast forward to Copa America just to see how this US can do against like the Copa America big dogs, because they look good, and
They
They've
do.
looked good. If they've looked good like as a unit for a while. So.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, they look good.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's not much to say about the U.S. other than that they're the best CONCACAF right now, and I think as Ariel, there's a lot of players rising right now. For the that Balogun, Weah, Pulisic trio up top is just pretty playing pretty good right now. Balogun getting minutes in the U.S. now, playing time with Pulisic and Weah, like it's really good. We'll see in the next friendlies that they have who they call up, and I guess I was sad not to see was Kate Cowell, but that's just my own bias. It just sucks we
What
didn't
did
get to
we
see him
tell
play
you?
a little bit. I
What did we
know
tell
it
you in
just
the
it just
beginning?
sucks.
What did we tell you?
He got called up
My,
and he didn't at least see like 10 minutes of playing time. I guess
He's not going to get playing time.
that's the only knock I have. I think also the Kremashi guy from the U.S. Not from the U.S. Yeah, from Inter Miami. I don't think he got playing time at all, or I
He's
think
so
he was on the
young,
bench
though.
most
They're
of the
both
time.
so young, so.
So I guess that's the only knock I have against Berhalter for calling and not giving them some time, especially against these friendlies where they were ahead. They were the clear best team on the field, 3-0, 4-0.
Yeah.
So, but the U.S. they're rolling.
Yeah. See, that's the difference between a team that has a core. The US has a core team. Like they know who their starters are. They know, like, if anything, it's just like tinkering, right? Of like, how do I put in Pepe at the right time
Yeah.
after Balogun? Like, who can I bring in to like supplement, like, or how can I support Pulisic when he's tired? Like, who can I bring in? Like, but he has his core. You know what I'm saying? Like across the board, which is the difference maker, I think, across the CONCACAF and maybe Panama. I would say Panama is the other team that I'm like, you guys know who your starters are. Like, you know who your team is. My boy Waterman's on the bench, but he'll come in for a penalty. You know what I'm saying? Carrasquilla, he's the main man in Panama. And I think, I hope he gets out of the Houston Dynamo, but those two are the two teams that I'm like, y'all know your team. Canada, to me, is kind of still up in the air because of what you said, Jose, which we didn't really get to see them play. So I don't know what that effect's going to be. And I guess I want to just kind of wedge this in here because I do want to talk a little bit about El Salvador, and I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be a Q&A or not, but I do want to just highlight one of the dysfunctionalities of the CONCACAF, which I think was highlighted in El Salvador. And El Salvador lost 2 games. They lost against Guatemala and they lost against Trinidad and Tobago. So in the Trinidad and Tobago was in El Salvador in the new stadium, and there should be no reason why El Salvador is losing to Trinidad y Tobago. But they did. And, one of the things that we haven't really filled y'all in about what's happening. Y'all know what's happening in El Salvador?
No.
Like, what's happening?
mean,
So, just
Other
a quick.
than Hugo Perez getting fired, I think that's all.
And that's all you know, right? So that's the headline, which I think is really unfortunate. So essentially what's happened here is that Hugo Perez, which is, for a little context, Hugo Perez is the coach that brought up Pulisic, that brought up Weston McKennie. He brought up what's the other young player? I want to say he brought in like that age group, like Pulisic, Weston McKennie. So he was their coach, like under like the under USA team. So he has like this like scouting knowledge. So essentially what's happened in El Salvador is that when he first took the job, he had a mix of players from the Liga Nacional of El Salvador. Slowly but surely, he started to kind of get away from those players, which that didn't make the Liga Nacional happy about what Hugo Perez is doing, right? Because now he's going to get players from the USA, which is like, so if you see this last game against Trinidad and Tobago, almost the entire team doesn't play in the Liga Nacional of El Salvador. And one of the things that has occurred is that the Liga Nacional didn't start until late, so his pool of players was really limited. And I'm giving this in context just because I think that I just want to highlight like what's happening in front of us, because we don't talk about what happens in the CONCACAF, because we just say, oh, Mexico is just going to roll over teams or whatever the hell it may be, or United States is just going to go and waste their time. Because I remember like Hugo Sanchez, I think, said that. Like, why does Mexico have to play against these teams? They're just gonna go waste their time, you know. And there's also like this context within like El Salvador and Guatemala. Guatemala is playing better, but El Salvador specifically, like it it's just like this really sad state of affairs. Like the players have really bad conditions in the Liga Nacional. The coach is expected to win with those players, and then they're just really impatient. So I don't know, man. I wanted to just kind of bring that forth to y'all. I don't know if y'all know. I don't know if y'all even care about what's happening in Salvador, but that's kind of what's been happening, man. I don't know. I don't know if y'all have any thoughts about what's yeah. In the chat, I see Pupus that just crying. How do y'all interpret
it just goes on to show like the big disparity that exists in CONCACAF between like selecciones like Mexico, USA, and then like there's a big gap with like like El Salvador, like that doesn't have. And I think you talked about this before, like that they don't have the facilities and the proper equipment or just the whole thing in general to like actually compete, even though they have talent or like they have a pool of play to do it. Like the infrastructure that comes behind a national team is, I think it's equal as how good or how much talent a player can have. But I think I saw it now that you brought up Hugo Perez, and I did see I think I saw a headline or it's like he was offered to be part of like the USA coaching staff before he took the El Salvador role, right?
that? Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's taking the El Salvador role now, or do you think he was warned in advance of what he was coming up against?
I think Hugo Perez me personally, I think he wanted to help El Salvador, but I think he got met with this wall that exists in El Salvador. Like when he came back and he pushed back of like, hey, why are you feeding these players cookies? You know what I'm saying? Like, why aren't these players like training when they're in their off season? Like, what's happening here? Why are your teams not doing that? So when he came and pushed back, there became friction with the Liga Nacional. You know, there became friction with even players. You know, players like one of the big things right now is like when the selección was losing, some of the veteran players that used to be in the selección were tweeting about it and on Instagram and putting like clown emojis and like kind of like almost like making fun of the fact that the selección is losing. You know what I'm saying? So there's this friction. There's almost like this drama around it. It's really sad. You know, I think it's a really sad state of affairs. And like that's who Mexico plays to get prepared for the World Cup.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. To me, it's just yeah, like I think maybe leaving Hugo Perez for El Salvador was the best choice, I guess, at this point, or one of their only options. You know, it seems like a lot of friction is happening with Federación and Hugo Perez. That maybe it was time to try to find something new. But you know, if we look outside El Salvador just for a little bit, and we look at a team like Guatemala right now that is on the come up, I think, and playing really well thanks to their coach. You know, again, Guatemala is a team that doesn't have a lot of resources like Bugs do. You know, they don't have a lot to play with, but Luis Pena has came in and revolutionized the playing style, how the players play, and it seems like that's what a project should look like for someone like El Salvador. You know, we know that a lot of these Guatemalan players, they don't play like outside of Guatemala. You know, they play in Guatemala. You know, we have like people like Mendez Leon playing in the second division, but that's what a project should look like for El Salvador. And you know, who knows? It might come sooner rather than later. I know for a fact that Salvador. It seems like El Salvador, Guatemala, they're gonna make the World Cup now that there's 3 free spots. So
Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. I think Panama is another good example of what a project should look like. You know, I think Panama is probably the best ran Central American team right now. I mean, they're the best team in Central America. So, let's jump into Germany, man. Let's jump into the other side of the world, uh, and then we'll, what did y'all take away from this Germany performance, and just kind of like, did y'all keep up with the European window or anything like that? I know you mentioned Harry Maguire. Any standouts? To me, Germany kind of stood out.
So
But
I saw something interesting on about the Germany team and the Germany losses and stuff, and that I guess so. What I was reading was, and I feel like I'm putting on my brother's conspiracy hat now, but what I'm reading about is that apparently the Germany was setting up Hansel Flick and trying to get him fired, and that's why they were playing so well. Apparently, the players didn't like Hansel Flick. They didn't like the way he coached. They didn't like the way he was playing. So it seems to me that what I'm reading about is that against Japan they were like, okay, we're gonna the deathbed for you, and long and behold, Hansel fired after the Japan loss, and they play France the next game, and they beat France 2-1. So it's just kind of interesting to see, something to think about. I'm not saying it because I don't think so, because Germany has been on a pretty bad run since like 2018, the World Cup. So I'm not saying it's true, but we'll see what happens with that. Another team like Japan, they've been playing pretty well, so they're also not a team to be like, oh, they lost to Japan. Like Japan's been playing pretty well since the World Cup. So
Samurais,
yeah, exactly.
they look good, man.
Yeah.
They look good. They got a good core team too.
Yeah, and the European window, I mean, it's just standard. I think the one standout that, again, I'm just amazed how well this guy plays is Jude Bellingham. I don't know if you guys saw how well he played for England against Scotland. I know it's against Scotland, but that man is he's on another level. Like, I'm excited to see what happens. I'm excited that he's on Real Madrid, and I'm happy he's on that team. I just hope an injury doesn't derail him or nothing like that. He keeps going the way he is. He's still like 20 years old. And the way he's playing, he looks like he's got that experience of like a 28-year-old. Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think Germany, I think for me, it's another team that they're lucky that the Euro is in Germany. So they don't have to qualify for it.
mhm.
And I think my one thing from Germany, and I think I'm seeing it way too much now, it's like Kai Havertz, man. Like, did he just forget how to play football? Like, that's another guy kind of like, or at least like you kind of just think about like soccer slumps. Like, how do you get out of that slump? Like, how do you do you need like a therapist? Like, do you need to like just go back to the lab of like the cancha and just like continue to like practice, like stay late, go in early? Like, how do you get off a slump like that? Because I think Kai Havertz was a really like good rising player, and that Chelsea move just kind of like down. And I think even with Arsenal, like they're trying to get him back. I think that's trying to get his confidence back. He's struggling, and then like you go to Germany, you go with like your home country, and you're also struggling. So it's like, it's crazy because right now like that's like your 9 for Germany. So it's just like, I think like that's my only takeaway from just seeing Germany play friendlies, which I guess is the best thing that could happen to them at this point. Getting rid of one, trying to find the next coach in months where they have to play a major tournament. And I guess it's just kind of like, I mean, Portugal scored 9 goals without Ronaldo, guys. Again, it's
Crazy. They're moving on, man. They're moving on. Crazy.
But I mean,
why is that team playing against Portugal, dude? Like, come on. What are we doing?
Luxembourg.
But I mean, it's. I mean, I think Copa America, and talked vaguely about it, but then the Euros too are always like, I think, interesting tournaments where I think you do get to see like the best teams play. So
Right, you said it
leave it
about
at
Kai
that.
Havertz. He joined Chelsea. That's what happened.
That's what happened, man. They demolished that dude's confidence.
Ye-
For me, I think takeaways is, I mean, for me at least, Germany, they didn't look good in the World Cup, and so I'm starting to watch this documentary. I don't know if I recommend. Do y'all follow the All or Nothing documentaries on Amazon Prime?
No, not yet, dude.
No, okay. Well, I find them fascinating just because it kind of gives you an inside like view of like the soccer team or the football team. And the latest one is on Germany in their 2008 2022 World Cup run. And I gotta say, just in the first couple of minutes, first couple of like the first episode, the players are just like not fucking with the coach. Like it's just hella evident that they're just like not fucking with them. I don't understand what they're saying because it's in German, but like just by their body language, like they're just like they're not fucking with this dude. I don't know if it's just like they're yelling at him, but they kind of just seem a little fragile, Like they're not of the Germany of the old. They're not the Balaks of the world. They're not the Oliver Kahns of the world, where you can just tell that in the locker room, like they were the big dog. They were like, if you fuck up, they're gonna chew your ass out. And in the Germany now, they just don't have that. That so they kind of lost that DNA, and they're also in this time when football is kind of changing. It's all possession based, and um, I don't know if that's always been their playing style. So yeah, it's an interesting documentary. I highly recommend that documentary series. I think if you're interested in football, we're not getting paid by them to promote it, but yeah, the latest one is on Germany, and it just so happens that Germany lost. So, and they got rid of the coach. Okay, let's jump into your butterfly effect, Jose. What's this about?
So, I mean, for those of you guys, I mean, if you guys are familiar with the butterfly effect or what the butterfly effect is, it's like it's just a maybe at the time unsignificant event that leads to just further bunch of like major changes that happen. Don't see them happen until we finally get to look back at it. So, bear with me, guys. This is the first of many more stories that I can probably share with you guys. So, I got a little book for you guys to read. If y'all
Okay,
and I'm gonna just y'all let me know if
man,
you can see my screen.
I'm impressed. You got a whole thing ready.
Can,
I appreciate it. So for folks that can't see, this man has prepared a slideshow.
so I prepared a
It's a,
slideshow.
it's a
All right,
weird being
and
on the other end of this.
so
Yeah.
so tonight we debut. Call it Jay Cruz's corner, but so we'll call this the butterfly effect. Story one, and today's story talks about the day that modern football changed as a whole. And to begin with, I think we date this back to October 19th, 2022, when Manchester United was playing Tottenham. They were winning, and Ronaldo was warming up. He kept warming up, and that ball dude at the bottom of your screen, which is Eric Ten Hag, decided not to put him in. So he didn't put him in, and before the game was over, Ronaldo just walked out on the team. Right? And obviously at the time it was just like, well, Ronaldo walks out, Ronaldo this, Ronaldo that. Ronaldo received a lot of backlash. And from that backlash, Ten Hagen came out and he said, you know what? You're not getting a call up on the game against Chelsea, which was the next game after the Tottenham game. So at the time, it was just kind of just part of the process. The World Cup was about to begin. Ronaldo was playing for Manchester, and we just kind of like had this like we just kind of understood at the time that there was just friction between Ten Hag and Ronaldo. So about a month after that first incident, we have the now infamous Ronaldo interview with Piers Morgan, that in there like he kind of like by this point Ronaldo had already kind of like left the Manchester United squad, and it was like 5 days before the World Cup was starting, and he just comes out, he says, he goes on a rant on like how Manchester United just they're not prepared, the facilities, there's no money, and then he goes on and says that he Ten Hag doesn't respect them, so he doesn't respect them back, and so on and so on and so on. So we're just following, Ronaldo's kind of like at this point, Ronaldo's a free agent kind of thing heading into the World Cup. So the World Cup happens. For Ronaldo for Portugal, it was kind of uneventful. I don't think they got as far as they wanted to get. I think it ends with Ronaldo kind of seeing that final game where they lose to Morocco, starting off from the bench and just kind of coming in, like in the second half, and just not being able to do much. So it's kind of a disappointing World Cup for Ronaldo. But I think the interesting thing that was happening behind the scenes is that Ronaldo was a free agent. Ronaldo, everybody was just kind of like, where's Ronaldo signing? Like, is he coming to the MLS? Who's going to pick him up from Europe? Is he going to play Champions League? And, it kind of just became a stigma behind the World Cup of like, what's Ronaldo going to do? And to, I think, a lot of surprise from like maybe like many people out there, Ronaldo ends up signing and becoming maybe the first big marquee signing for the Saudi Arabia League. And he signs for Al Nassr in a deal that's worth like up to 200 million a year. And at the time, we kind of like we were like buzzing about it. We were just like, "Oh, great! Like Ronaldo's just joining this exotic league. Like, what's like we kind of just didn't know what to make of it. Obviously, it was kind of like the end of the year. It was like mid-season for the Saudi league, mid-season for like European leagues, and it just kind of like it created a big buzz, but we kind of just didn't make it like a major deal out of it. Besides the fact that Ronaldo was now playing in the Middle East, and I think time passed. The leagues kind of kept continuing. There wasn't too much going on. That is until the summer. So in summer of 2023, I think we saw, going back to my butterfly effect, we saw what that one thing, that one friction with Ten Hag and Ronaldo back in October turned into by just seeing the whole wave of European players ditching European football, joining the Saudi league. And it was just, that summer, I mean, and we've talked about it in our podcast, and we've talked about all these players and what they do. And it just kind of like created like this whole wave of like, every week there's a new player. Every week there's a new player. Every week this player signed this player signed here. And just, it was a wild summer, and I think the Saudi league spent a crazy amount of money. And the one thing that kind of like got me to think, like brought this whole story up was that, this player, Gabriel Vega, was supposed to sign with Napoli. Celta de Vigo had already filed the paperwork. They were going to send him to Napoli. And this guy just stopped the whole thing because he wanted to sign for Saudi Arabia because they were going to pay him more money. And that was kind of like the one news, or like this was the one player I was like, oh man, if a 21-year-old is, now signing for Saudi, like that's it. Like they're taking over the market. But just today, and just, earlier today, I think it was made official. Um, Now today we got the first woman like joining the Saudi league. Yeah, she comes from Leicester City, and she's also, everybody's just questioning her move because it's like a controversial move. And obviously, like, the politics in Saudi Arabia towards women. But this girl just kind of decided to leave Europe and just to sign for Saudi, playing for the women's league for them. And it's interesting, like because everybody's just kind of like you're getting your money. Like, is this the start of the era on the women's side joining Saudi? Like, how much money will they make? But that, just kind of like everything just kind of led on like forward, like going, from just one incident, which was what Cristiano Ronaldo did back in October, what Ten Hag did, what Manchester United did. And, I call this the butterfly effect because I think, who would have thought, that back in October, when Ronaldo just didn't get a playing time, that would be that one moment that would change the landscape of what is important, whether it's Europe, whether it's money, and it just kind of like just led on to this moment that we are today, where like now we have to talk about the Saudi League, or now we get to talk about the Saudi League, which I think maybe last year or even years ago, like we didn't even know it existed. So, and just to wrap it up for this episode, I'll leave you guys with some Florentino Perez quotes about 2021 when he wanted to start the Super League, because he feared that something like this would happen. He probably didn't know how it would happen. He probably didn't know why it would happen. But I think looking back to his quotes, looking back to where we are today, we can all thank Cristiano Ronaldo for where we are today in the world of football, whether you like it or whether you don't. Thank you.
I feel like it was a class presentation. Thank you. I think that's such an interesting theory. That Cristiano Ronaldo, you really think Cristiano Ronaldo has that much of an influence in the landscape of football?
Yes, absolutely. If it's not I mean, I guess Messi would be the other closer player, but if it's not a player like Ronaldo, we're not talking about the Saudi League right now, at all. But that, I feel like that's just like my take on it. And again, you just don't know how it happens. You just don't know how it's happening at the moment. But who knows? Like, what happens if Ten Hag doesn't have a friction with Ronaldo? What happens if he actually starts him in the game against Tottenham?
Yeah.
But
yeah, what a different world that would be. I don't know if any of this would have happened.
So,
You know. Yeah, you got any thoughts, Irving, on this theory?
I agree with the theory, or I agree with what's going on here, right? I mean, we can't deny that Ronaldo's the first player to really leave to Saudi Arabia and really make an impact there and influence other players to come. I mean, does Neymar even says that Cristiano's the one that started it all, right? For him at least. So yeah, I agree. I mean, it's interesting to see. I mean, for the longest time, I thought Ronaldo was going to stay or retire at Manchester United. So, hey, look what happened.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's like,
I don't know.
It's like,
I'm kind of on the fence on it. I can see why you're saying that. I think on the other end, though, I think if I had to play devil's advocate here, I just think that Ronaldo has a lot of fans that are really passionate about him, and they can't fathom letting him go. Like, for many, I think Cristiano is their idol. That's their favorite player. That's the player they grew up like, wanting to be like. So to come to terms that my favorite player is no longer who he used to be, he can no longer do what he used to be. I think it could be really easy to start creating like a narrative that he's again at the center of the world. Because that's what he's been used to. So I'm wondering like if this theory will apply once he retires, because then once he retires, Cristiano doesn't strike me as the guy that's just gonna go and just hang out and just retire. He's gonna find a way to still be in the spotlight because that's just what he's been used to, and I think his fans will follow him in that. I don't know. So that's kind of my take on that. So, thank you, Jose. Thank you for that interesting, thought. I mean, what do y'all think? We're gonna put it back on you. What do you think? Do you think that the world of football changed? That what is it? October 22nd,
October 19th, 2020.
October 19th, 2022. Was that the biggest change in the football world? Was that the what is that? What the shit that broke the camel's back? What is it? The straw?
Yeah, the straw that broke the camel's The last straw that broke the camel's back. There you go.
Was this man not? Was this man walking out of the stadium? The straw that broke the camel's back. I don't
It's like,
know. It's an interesting theory for sure.
It's like, ¿quién iba a pensar que un peloncito iba a cambiar el mundo de fútbol?
That's right, man. The walking bicycle
Yeah.
helmet, as some of them call it. So, let's jump into the quinela, so we don't overstay our welcome here. So the quinela of the week is going to be. Let me share my screen real quick. We were going to talk about Paul Pogba, or we could just talk about it briefly. Is there any thoughts y'all have on Paul Pogba?
Witchcraft. Believe in him.
Witchcraft.
Man's doomed. His brother cursed them.
Man. What a unfortunate series of events for him.
Which, stay tuned.
Yeah.
I might have a story on that soon.
You good?
Yeah.
Good.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. No.
Please let us know. It's is witchcraft, is that a thing in this? I believe in witchcraft and I believe in magic for sure, but
Yeah.
It's just like just seeing how his career turned out after winning the World Cup in 2018. Like, it's just interesting. Like,
it is.
the derailing of Paul Pogba, like not just in soccer, like not just on the field, but like everything that also happened to him, like outside of the field too, with like his brother and his family. So stay tuned. I will have that story.
Even his influence, I feel like his influence also went down too, because at one point I feel like people wanted to, kind of be like him, and it went down really fast. You got any thoughts, Edwin?
It just sucks for a player like Pogba, who at one point was one of the best midfielders in the world, to kind of go out like this, having to be like caught for doping and stuff like that, and yeah, it just sucks for him and for the world of football, but to me, this is, I think he's done. Like, he's never gonna reach what he once was, and of course he'll sign for a team. I mean, heck, he might go to the Saudi Arabian League or the MLS, but he's not gonna be the same no more, and it just sucks. We lost a midfielder. Like,
Mhm.
I'm acting like he died. He didn't die, but
He didn't
yeah,
die.
but it just sucks. He had to resort to using what is it, the drug that the enhanced
Well,
is it
in
enhanced?
his defense,
No.
though, in his
He didn't-
defense, he does have, I think, a couple of days to prove that he didn't do anything.
Well, that's the thing.
On
That's the
purpose.
thing, though, and he didn't use PEDs. He tested positive for testosterone, and I think that the one thing, and I'm already thinking of other stories. When I feel like every time we hear the stories about a soccer player testing for, like a doping, getting a positive doping test, it always tracks back to meat. It always tracks back to something that you ate. And in this case, the Pogba thing, it's like apparently he ate some kind of meat in the U.S. that had testosterone, and that's why he tested positive. So,
Well, that's not surprising at all.
so they
So-
always trace it back to food, at least like the cases that I've seen in my lifetime.
Yeah, man. Interesting story. I mean, I think we're really quick to judge him, and we don't know. We don't know what's actually happened. I mean, I think he's kind of has a spotlight on him, and sometimes it's unfairly judged on him. But all right, let's jump into our quinela, and then we'll close out the show.
All right.
Can you run us through the games this week?
I mean, first of all, just the tally so that Ariel can feel better. Ariel total tally after week 5, 12 points. Sam 11. My brother Irving 8, and I am also at 8. So
Man, the old heads are getting it
we're
in.
way behind, but we have some really good games this week. I don't know if when they build the calendars for all the leagues, they kind of just pick a weekend and say like that's the weekend that we all have to have our clásicos, but
Mhm.
or like our marquee games. But there are some pretty good games this week. So just to kick it off, Clásico Nacional in Mexico, America versus
Okay.
Chivas. It's going to be played at the Azteca Stadium. What do you guys think?
For me, I'm gonna go with America.
That's the only choice.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go with a tie. I'm gonna go with a tie. They seem pretty even this year.
That's true. I'll give you that.
America doesn't look like the powerhouse that I think it's been in the couple of recent years.
But they did just get all their other injured players back. So,
Oh, fans will take a little bit of adapting though.
Irving?
I don't know. I want to say a tie as well. Chivas hasn't been playing all too good these past couple games. I think they only won one game in like their last like 6 or something like that. But America barely beat Cruz Azul, and Cruz Azul sucks this year.
What's it gonna be?
I'll take that one, man.
I know. I think I'm gonna go with the tie as well.
All right. Well,
Although I want to say
yeah.
America.
It's like
What are you gonna go with, Jose?
all y'all gonna get that wrong because America's gonna win. So I'll pick America.
It's because of those bold decisions that you are where you are in the standings, and I appreciate that.
All right, second game, Manchester United team just talking about against Brighton playing at Old Trafford.
I'm picking Brighton.
Oof, that's a dicey pick.
Yeah, Man U sucks this year. Brighton is a fucking well-oiled machine. I love that team.
This is the one where I go with the tie myself.
Okay.
I'm going
What you
Brighton.
think,
I'm
Edwin?
going Brighton as well. They beat good Newcastle. That's what sells it to me.
That's the key right
Yeah.
there, buddy.
All right, all right. Then in a mid-off game in Spain, Atletico Madrid versus Valencia, playing in Mestalla.
I'm gonna go with Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, me too.
They only have. Oh, yeah, go ahead. No, never mind. I'm gonna keep that stat to myself.
All right, I'm gonna go. I'll pick Atletico too, even though they're playing away.
Dang it! I gave away my strategy.
Yeah, I'm going to Atletico too. They've been
Alright.
playing pretty good this year.
Then we jump into Italy. Yeah, the Classico in Italy. Inter Milan versus Milan. Inter is home.
First and second place.
That's right.
Mhm.
Both teams undefeated. Inter. Yeah, never mind. I'm not gonna. I don't know. I keep trying to share with y'all stats, but I'm gonna go with Milan.
Yeah, I'll pick Milan too.
What's it gonna be, man?
Bro, you taking too
I
long
agree.
to make
I
a pick,
agree.
man.
You taking-
You taking
taking your
way
sweet time
man.
this
Come on,
today,
man.
huh?
Don't work.
Milan. I don't want to lose.
Oh, that's why.
All right.
Hey, man, it's okay.
Game
dude.
number
It's a part of life.
game number 5 is a little curveball game.
Pumas.
versus San Luis
Pumas.
at the Pumas Stadium, but San Luis is in
Pumas.
first place. But I think we don't trust that's a very solid first place. Just some background.
Pumas. You know what Atletico doesn't have? Mo Salah. You know what Pumas does have? Mo Salah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with San Luis. Yeah, San Luis.
I'll go with the tie. I think that's a tie game. 6. West Ham United versus Man City playing in London Stadium. Do we see Man
City.
Oof. We don't see Man City.
That's
losing.
easy. Nope, not against this team.
But West Ham's doing good, guys.
That's cool, but they're not Man City. The only team that I trust to beat Man City is Brentford.
Always good old Brentford.
Yeah, dude.
Fuck. What's like
Yeah.
man? It
Man
just kind of
City,
has
bro.
this.
Bro.
Nah, it has
Man
this
City, bro.
game where like they're just you coming from international break, so the team's just not gonna be there. So,
Bro, Haaland didn't play international break, bro. It's all good.
all right, I'll go Man City, even though. All right, game number 7: Arsenal versus Everton at Goodison Park.
Man, this is a tough one, dude. This is a real tough one because Arsenal,
Everton got
even though they
Arsenal's
play
number.
good, yeah, dude, they suck complete ass at Everton.
If there's a
Everton
game,
might
It's
win,
horrible.
but they're not gonna lose. I'll tell you that right now.
if there's a game Everton wins a season,
It's this
the
one.
one against
Literally.
Arsenal at Goodison Park.
We
One-
have not won a
what-
game this season.
1-0 in like a cheesy goal in the second half.
Okay, Arsenal hasn't been playing that good, but I think that this is the game that they turn it around. This is a bold statement. This is a bold prediction on my end because stats have not been on this favor. But I'm gonna go with Arsenal this game.
I don't see Everton
Yeah.
This is a
losing.
tough
I'm gonna go with the tie. I don't see Everton losing, guys.
I know Everton's my team, but they suck.
one.
They suck this year. Or
They suck ass,
they've been
dude.
playing so bad, like insanely bad.
You know what? We're all gonna get that wrong. I'm gonna switch.
Are they at the bottom of the league?
I mean,
No, they're not.
They haven't. No, but they have an extra game, so. Yeah,
I'm gonna go to.
they've
I'm gonna go
not-
with Arsenal. Changing.
Yeah. You can't change.
Nah,
Nah,
dude. You
nah,
can't
nah.
change it, dude. It's a tie,
You
man. It's a tie.
you
It's
did
a
not
tie.
want to let Sam change. You cannot change that.
Yeah, you didn't let Sam change.
All right. Well, I'm just know that game's gonna be a tie, and y'all gonna get that wrong.
All right.
Okay.
I'm going Arsenal.
What are you gonna
I'm going
say,
Arsenal.
Ian?
I'm going Arsenal. Everton sucks.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
You know, no faith in your team,
No,
man.
they suck this year. It's bad. We're gonna be
Alright.
fighting relegation again at the end of the season.
And the final game.
Aye.
Okay. Well, speaking of El Tráfico, LAFC versus LA Galaxy at BMO Stadium.
You know, I got LA Galaxy.
Ooh, that's a bold one.
I know, but LAFC has
Yeah.
just not been playing good at all.
I got LA. No, they got to get back to their winning ways, and this is the game that they do it.
I am also gonna go with the Galaxy.
Eesh. It's been. I feel like behind like the screen you're looking at, you're just looking at like statistics and like
I'm just looking. I'm
like-
I'm doing my research.
like
Because I'm not.
Look,
trying to be
now
the
that we've said
hot
our picks, Galaxy has beaten both times this year against LAFC. I'm just saying.
you got that.
man.
And now
and to
LAFC has
add,
been playing bad.
Galaxy is 4 points away from getting a playoff
Uh-huh.
spot.
They're gonna be fighting for those last points.
That's right.
All right. Well,
So I like my chances.
Me too.
hey, so some good games this week, man. This is the exciting part.
Yeah, man.
All good games, all
Yeah.
good picks. We did take Sam's picks off camera, so if he
Yeah.
does end up losing or not, I mean, I'll run them down real quick: Chivas, Brighton, Atletico, Milan, Pumas, Man City, Arsenal, and LAFC.
My boy said
They're
Pumas.
saying.
Okay.
Brother loves your team. Well, thank you for another episode. Thank you for listening. If you listen to us, if you watched us, thank you for watching us. Make sure that you follow our socials, Strictly Football 21. Make sure you leave us a rating and a review if you listen to wherever you listen to our podcast. Thank you, and until next week, adios.